there, my beautiful disaster. Get ready for an exhilarating video breakdown of Bridgerton Season 3, Episode 4, Old Friends. In this captivating episode, Colin finds himself falling for Penelope, which leads to a major friendship crisis. Meanwhile, Devlin uncovers Penelope's true feelings, adding an extra layer of intrigue. Hold on tight as Francesca encounters her future husband, John Sterling, causing quite a commotion in the Bridgerton household. After that, Eli's Benedict and the Mondriches face their own personal challenges, making for some intense moments. And guess what? Colin finally confesses his feelings for Penelope. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to show your support, and don't forget to turn on all notifications so you never miss any of the exciting new content I upload here on the channel. Oh, and don't forget to check out my Etsy shop for all your affordable fashion needs. Let's dive into this episode together. Colin's attempt to play matchmaker for Penelope has unexpectedly led to him developing feelings for her, while she struggles to deny her own emotions. As we approach Bridgerton Season 3, Episode 4, Old Friends, we will witness the impact of this on their friendship as Penelope contemplates a serious relationship with Lord Devlin. However, Collins is not the only Bridgerton facing challenges, with Benedict embarking on a secret romance with Tilly Arnold. Eloise is torn between old and new friendships, and Francesca is determined to pursue courtship on her terms. With so much drama unfolding, before the series takes a 1-month break, let's delve into the excitement. If anyone had concerns about Devlin returning to Cressida after his dance with Penelope, they needn't have worried. Light of the latest episode kicks off with Portia, Prudence, and Philippa secretly observing Penelope in the drawing room while Devlin pays her a visit, presenting her with a potted plant to bring a touch of nature indoors, as she prefers. Portia concludes that Colin must have assisted in this endeavor, and in his absence, she takes it upon herself to help Penelope win over her suitor. However, given Portia's unique style of maternal support, her efforts are bound to backfire. And indeed, Portia wastes no time in proving this to be true. She confidently enters the room and decides that the best way to encourage her daughter's potential match is to insult Penelope right in front of him. Personally, I don't see it as an insult to enjoy sitting by the window and reading, but Portia's tone clearly suggests otherwise. Devlin attempts to salvage the situation by asking Penelope why she prefers that spot, and she almost reveals that it offers a view of Bridgerton House across the square, but she manages to recover smoothly. Over at Bridgerton House, Violet catches Colin in the study and casually invites him to join them when Marquis Samadani visits Francesca, but beneath the surface, she's really curious about his question regarding friendship turning into love. Despite her suspicions, Colin evades the topic, leaving Violet to drop the subject, just like the pins in Violet's comments. Let's pin this one for now. Meanwhile, at Lady Danbury's, she sits down for lunch with her brother Marcus and finally loses her patience, demanding to know the real reason for his visit to town. Marcus admits that his country estate is too lonely and he's seeking both company and potential romantic interest. Lady Danbury, too preoccupied to entertain him, gives him the green light to mingle with the ladies, but judging from his interest in a particular lady from the previous episode, Lady Danbury might not be too pleased about it. Queen Charlotte is thrilled to read Lady Whistledown's glowing report about Francesca's potential match. She immediately instructs Bramsley to organize a grand celebration to commemorate the occasion. However, amidst the excitement, the Bridgertons wonder about the progress of this supposed match. In anticipation of Lord Samadani's visit, they prepare his favorite dessert. Francesca, on the other hand, expresses doubts about his arrival, especially after his desire for a large family. Secretly, she may be hoping he stays away. Just as she ponders this, a footman enters to announce a visitor. Princess's face lights up like a Christmas tree when she realizes it's not Lord Samadani, but the mysterious man she met the other night. Hyacinth, unfamiliar with both men, warmly welcomes Lord Samadani into their home, only to be corrected by Violet. The man reveals that he has come to call on one of her daughters, causing Eloise to hide behind Gregory for safety. However, it becomes evident that he only has eyes for Francesca, and she reciprocates the sentiment. As As they exchange introductions, it becomes clear that he is John Sterling, Earl of Kilmartin. At this point, fans of the book like myself couldn't help but cheer, as John Sterling is the man destined to be Francesca's husband. Francesca guides him to the opposite side of the room, seeking a more secluded spot, and Violet is taken aback to her very core. The two of them sit in comfortable silence while the rest of the family observes, utterly perplexed. Violet is irritated that he would show up without a proper introduction, because apparently pushing your daughter towards someone she dislikes but has at least formally met is far more preferable. However, the family's contemplation of this peculiar turn of events comes to an end when the actual Lord Samadani arrives. John departs and Francesca watches him leave, yet Violet fails to notice the longing in her daughter's eyes as she is too preoccupied with keeping an eye on Mr. Samadani. Although the Mandrake has a seemingly perfect and blissful marriage, all is not well at the moment. Will confides in Alice that 3 different lords have advised him to relinquish ownership and operation of his gentleman's club. Al resents the expectation that he should simply give up something he takes pride in building, even though Alice reminds him that embracing all aspects of their new life was his own idea. I understand his hesitation, just like Alice does. There is likely a part of him that doesn't want to take everything for granted, and it must be difficult for a man who is accustomed to earning everything he has to let it go. However, embracing their new life means embracing it wholeheartedly, and we can only hope that he eventually comes to terms with it. The Featheringtons embark on a visit to a private library where many members of high society are also present. Portia is infuriated to find Penelope reading instead of focusing all her attention on Lord Debling. I believes that the best way to win a man's heart is to let him explain things so he doesn't feel emasculated. However, Debling quickly realizes that this act of playing dumb is solely Portia's doing. The Bridgertons arrive at the gathering with Lord Samadani, but Francesca seems preoccupied, searching for someone else. Colin notices Penelope with Lord Debling as he goes to join his friends, and Eloise heads off to talk to Cressida. However, she too is distracted by the situation between Penelope and Debling. Cressida reveals to Eloise that her father is now considering marrying her off to one of his own friends, since the prospect of Lord Debling is no longer an option. Now that Portia is no longer interfering, Debling takes the opportunity to ask Penelope about her taste in books. Curious, he inquires about the genres she enjoys. Penelope admits that while she finds pleasure in reading various types of books, her favorites are love stories. She blushes slightly, feeling a bit embarrassed by her preference. However, Debling quickly reassures her, expressing his happiness that she has found something she feels passionate about. Harry appreciates the fact that she enjoys love stories, unlike those who would shame her for indulging in the unrealistic expectations portrayed in such tales. Debling acknowledges the importance of having a partner who values and appreciates her rather than treating her as someone of little worth. In that moment, Debling can't help but imagine a man who genuinely appreciates a woman's love for romantic stories. He wonders who wouldn't root for them if he wasn't about to embark on a long journey up north, and if Penelope wasn't still attached to someone else. Their connection seems promising, and Debling can't help but feel a sense of hope for their potential. Continuing their conversation, Debling asks Penelope if she has ever come across a book where the husband is absent for extended periods and the wife is content taking care of the estate. He gauges her feelings on such an arrangement. Penelope ponders for a moment and responds that she believes it could work if the wife had her own interests and pursuits as well. She emphasizes the importance of the wife having a fulfilling life beyond just tending to the estate. Debling follows up by asking how the man in this hypothetical book might propose to the wife and whether such a proposal would be welcomed. Penelope glances over at Colin, the person she is still hung up on, before coyly replying. Her response, though brief, seems to be enough for Devlin to understand her feelings. The following day, Violet and Francesca take a stroll, and Violet finally realizes that Francesca isn't interested in Lord Samadani. Before she can fully express her thoughts, Francesca spots Lord Kilmartin and rushes over to greet him. Violet notices Francesca's attraction to him, although she's unsure of what to make of it. John mentions the music played by a nearby busker and asks Francesca if she likes it. Francesca, unable to hide her true feelings, critiques the music style, piquing John's interest, and he excuses himself. Francesca tells her mother, perhaps a bit too vehemently for someone who was just giggling, that she's not interested in John Sterling. Eloise visits Cressida, who is with her mother in their simple drawing room during calling hour. Lady Copper appears irritated that Eloise would visit at this time, even though there are no suitors present. Eloise is there to check on Cressida. After noticing her change in behavior the day before, Cressida is surprised that she's never had a friend visit before. They really want us to sympathize with her, don't they? That season becomes clear when Cressida's parents return and ask Eloise to leave for being there during calling hour, instructing Cressida not to associate with her anymore. I suppose befriending one of the Tun's most esteemed families is damaging Cressida's prospects, isn't it? She will explains to Alice that due to the majority of the lords no longer being patrons at the club, finances are tight and he needs to come up with a plan to bring them back. Alice agrees with Will that it's unfair for the lords to close their accounts over a fellow member still working. However, she believes that overworking himself to prove a point isn't the solution. There may be benefits to Will's new position that he hasn't considered yet. Alice decides to let Will figure it out on his own, even though they both know the true solution. Meanwhile, Colin, one of the remaining club patrons, is preoccupied with thoughts of Penelope instead of participating in his friends' discussions about their romantic encounters during their grand tours. Colin's friends tease him for not sharing his own experiences, but Colin is tired of the casual attitude towards love and relationships. He realizes the importance of genuine connections after falling for Penelope. It may have taken him a while to see women as individuals, but he's finally come to understand the value of meaningful relationships. The following day, Devlin arrives at the Featherington residence to request Portia's permission to propose to Portia's daughter Penelope. Portia gladly grants her permission, feeling ecstatic about the prospect. However, Penelope appears hesitant and overwhelmed. Despite Portia listing the numerous advantages of marrying Devlin, Penelope cannot find any excitement within herself. Portia is horrified to discover that Penelope is still holding out for love. Ultimately, she sternly tells her daughter that if she refuses to be practical and prioritize security over a mere fantasy, Portia will have to make the decision for her. As the Bridgertons prepare to attend the Queen's Ball, Colin descends the stairs still dressed in his attire from the previous night. He informs his mother that he will not be joining them. Violet consoles Colin, who is clearly distressed, and acknowledges that he has always been one of the more sensitive Bridgertons, often prioritizing others' happiness over his own. This may explain the growing distance between him and Penelope. Violet urges Colin not to let his newfound closed-off attitude become a permanent trait. She mentions that it's a shame he will miss the party, as Devlin is expected to propose to Penelope the evening, possibly due to Colin's assistance. However, if Violet expects this information to bring comfort, she is sorely mistaken. Perhaps she simply hopes to ignite a spark within him instead. At the Grand Ball, the Queen orchestrates a captivating dance performance, hoping to ignite a spark between Francesca and Lord Samadani. However, Francesca can only manage a disinterested glance towards him. The entire crowd is mesmerized by the performance, and as soon as it concludes, Devlin approaches Penelope, requesting a dance later in the evening. Meanwhile, Marcus locates Violet, and they engage in a heartfelt conversation while observing Francesca's dance with Lord Samadani. To Marcus's surprise, Violet reveals that he doesn't know much about Francesca's ability to shape society according to her desires. Marcus admits that they are still in the process of reconnecting. Violet then discloses that Lady Danbury's attention is currently fixated on Francesca and expresses uncertainty about Francesca's feelings towards Lord Samadani. Marcus reassures her that sometimes these things take time to develop, playfully adding that her attempts at flirting are not helping the situation. He shares that he himself did not marry for love initially, but eventually grew fond of his wife. Al expands. Violet confides that she had a love-filled marriage, which Marcus admits he envies. He expresses his hope of finding a similar connection for himself in the future. Francesca's dance performance caught the attention of both the Queen and Lady Danbury, filling them with optimism. Lady Danbury, not wanting to attend the ball alone without Will, brought Alice Mondrich along. However, she confides in Lady Danbury about Will's resistance to their new life and his unwillingness to give up his bar. Lady Danbury warns Alice that the Queen wouldn't be pleased if she found out, urging her to find a way to convince Will to let go of it. Despite this, Lady Danbury is displeased that her seat next to the Queen allows her to witness her brother flirting with her best friend. Marcus catches Lady Danbury leaving the party and asks her to redirect her meddling towards him, but she dismisses his request and walks away, leaving him standing there. Meanwhile, Benedict and Tilly continue to pretend that they are not having an affair. Although their body language suggests otherwise, Eloise finds herself sitting alone on the edge of the dance floor when Cressida approaches her. Alice reveals that she overheard her father's conversation and understands if Cressida feels the need to keep her distance. However, Cressida boldly declares that she doesn't care about her father's opinion and decides to stick around with Eloise regardless. At Bridgerton house, Colin initially sits alone in his study, but the memories of his time with Penelope ignite a fire within him, prompting him to leave the house. John catches up to Francesca on the dance floor after her dance with Lord Samadani, only to be met with her reluctance to talk. He tries to lighten the mood by joking about their shared love for silence, but quickly realizes it falls flat. Apologizing for his sudden departure during their last encounter, he reveals that he left to arrange for sheet music of the Fiddler song, tailored to Francesca's preferences. As Lord Samadani returns with lemonade for Francesca, John's thoughtful gift reignites her interest, prompting her to express her desire to leave the ball. Violet agrees, while Queen Charlotte disapproves of Francesca's newfound interest in someone other than her chosen suitor. It seems like this woman needs a new hobby and fast. With Philippa and Albion expecting a baby, Prudence and Harry are now in a race to catch up. Fortunately, Prudence begins showing signs of pregnancy as well, indicating they may not be far behind. Perhaps this news will provide a welcome distraction for Portia, who is preoccupied with Penelope's hesitance towards Debling's impending proposal. Penelope and Debling gracefully glide across the dance floor, their movements synchronized and elegant. In the midst of their dance, Penelope poses a question to Debling, wondering if he could envision himself falling in love despite his current pursuit of a practical marriage. Debling, engrossed in his research, confesses that he's uncertain about the possibility but expresses his happiness at Penelope's diverse range of interests. Just as their conversation unfolds, Colin makes a grand entrance, capturing the attention of everyone in the room, including Cressida. As Eloise behind, Cressida rushes to join Debling on the dance floor as he has stepped away to allow Colin and Penelope to address their unresolved matters. Penelope, already hesitant about accepting Debling's proposal, becomes even more certain that Colin's interruption is completely inappropriate. He insists that she cannot marry a man she barely knows and reminds her of Debling's imminent departure on a years-long expedition. However, Penelope calmly assures him that she has come to terms with the situation and intends to accept Debling's proposal. Although their conversation is not conducted in raised voices, the intensity is palpable enough for Debling to sense, and Cressida seizes the opportunity to intervene. After she informs Devlin that they have been close friends ever since the Featheringtons moved in across the street from the Bridgertons. I agree if Cressida's comparison of Colin and Penelope to Eros and Psyche wasn't enough to raise Devlin's suspicions, her mention of living across the street certainly does the trick. Penelope storms towards the door, seething with anger towards Colin for meddling in her affairs and insulting her courtship with Lord Devlin. She desperately tries to salvage the situation as she confronts Devlin. However, Devlin surprises her by revealing that he had been observing her behavior all week and had attributed it to a disagreement with Colin. But now, after witnessing the dance and learning about her fondness for watching Bridgerton House from the window, he realizes that she still has feelings for Colin. Penelope quickly rebuts, insisting that Colin does not and will never reciprocate her feelings. Little does she know, her comeback falls flat. Devlin catches on to her true emotions and questions whether she desires more than just friendship from Colin. Penelope is left speechless, unable to provide a satisfactory answer. In response, Devlin withdraws his proposal, explaining that he doesn't want to marry someone who is in love with another person, especially since he will be away for a long time. With tears streaming down her face, Penelope is left standing by the door as Devlin departs. Portia discovers Penelope in her distressed state and inquires about what she did to drive Devlin away, further deepening Penelope's wounds. Penelope accuses her mother of only caring about her engagement to a lord, disregarding her well-being. Frustrated and hurt, Penelope decides to leave the ball and calls for her carriage. However, just as she departs, Colin suddenly appears outside, desperately searching for her. Realizing that the carriage has already left, he begins chasing after her on foot. Miraculously, he manages to catch up with her and joins her in the carriage. But there's one thing fans of Polling were hoping for this season. It was the iconic carriage scene, and guess what? We got it. Sure, the circumstances may have changed a bit, but the end result is exactly what we were all waiting for, right? Everything plays out the same, with Colin stepping out of the carriage and asking for Penelope's hand in marriage right then and there, and that's where they leave us hanging until next month, dear viewers. Oh, tell me, what did you think of part 1 of Bridgerton season 3? Till next time, take care of yourself.